All right, it's been a long, long road, but we're finally here. The end game of Avengers. Avengers Endgame is finally out, and 10 years of movies have led up to this single moment where there's a lot of payoff and some weird shit going on. So we're going to just kind of go probably in order about what happens. So, yeah, go ahead and discuss this here. I'm Paul, and with me is Hank as usual.
Hello.
All right.
They're able to have this end game because the Magic the Gathering card Commence the End Game just came out, so they were good.
Is that true?
Yeah, there's a card Commence the End Game in the new set.
I'm looking it up right now, actually. Is it just like movie releases? The spell can't be countered. How ironic.
Yeah. Can't be stopped. Unstoppable.
I really, really like that the flavor text on that card is "Even gods shall kneel." boy. Okay. Okay, we're just gonna go through this movie and unpack stuff as it goes. So
Sure.
this is one of those movies that if you're listening to this, you either don't care about spoilers or you've seen the movie, because this is a movie that people that have been in it are here to see and like have seen already. So we're not going to bother with this pretense of like, I'll just say right now, if you're listening right now and you're like on the fence, you shouldn't see it because it's not for you. It wasn't made for you, this specific movie.
Yeah.
At the very least, watch Infinity War. And then if you want to finish it, then you can watch this movie.
Yeah, I was thinking about afterwards, like trying to watch this movie, someone who hadn't seen Infinity War, it just wouldn't work at all. It just doesn't try, which I think is fair because that's probably the most anticipated movie in the history of the world.
Yeah, no, totally. So yeah, there's no point in just saying that. Like, that's my spoiler-free review. That if you haven't seen the other movies, you might as well turn this off. It doesn't matter. This isn't for you at all. Period. Okay, this takes place right after Infinity War, a couple weeks after Infinity War. It actually starts with Jeremy Renner's character, who is just kind of like chilling with his family, being like, "Ooh, I love my wife and kids," and blah blah blah. Yeah. Like just hanging out with them, having a picnic at the park, and then they disappear because Thanos snapped his fat fingers.
Yeah, we get one last Dustin scene.
Yeah, it's like
people get dusted.
It's really like obvious what they're doing the minute you see him with his kids. You're just like, oh, we're going with that opening. Okay, sure. And it's what you think. Like, they disappear within the first 5 minutes, and then he's just standing there
They've
alone.
done a lot of these scenes.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of these dusting scenes. They're all the same.
Yeah, so it's that scene.
But I gotta love it every time. It's hilarious.
It is really funny. And then like the title card comes up. So the way the movie actually starts, because I don't count that really. That's just kind of like the stepping stone, the welcome mat, basically. The movie starts off right a few weeks after the end of Infinity War, where oh my god, what's her name? The lady Nebula and Tony Stark are just kind of floating in space, ready to die because they're running out of oxygen and food and everything. And then
they're playing the football game.
They're playing the football game
where you kick the paper.
Yeah, where you fold up the paper into a triangle and then you kind of like line it up. Table football is what we called it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
it's a good time.
It's pretty good. I mean, besides the whole fact that they both have just like decided they're about to die, and Tony Stark is like leaving messages in case their bodies get found for Pepper.
Fun times.
Yeah, fun times.
Everything's great.
But luckily, because we have met her in the movie that came out just very recently, Carol Danvers decides to fly across the universe and pick them up and bring them back to Earth. So that's cool of her. Yeah. And it kind of like showcases why Captain Marvel exists, because since she is Marvel's Superman, she is the one who has to do all the stuff that is literally impossible. She is the Deus Ex Machina answer to a lot of like stuff that actually can't be done otherwise, and that's fine. It's whatever. That's kind of how Superman is too. So
she is very strong.
Yeah, she is very, and it's why she. So here's the thing: she is very strong. Scarlet Witch is very strong. Scarlet Witch was introduced way too early, so they had to make her like disappear forever, basically, throughout the series because she could basically solve all the problems herself. Otherwise, and they couldn't introduce Captain Marvel until now because Captain Marvel could just fix everything herself back then too. That's why they aren't around until now, basically. Yeah.
I mean, you could position those characters differently so they weren't as strong as they were. And like Scarlet Witch, it's honestly unclear how strong she ever is.
It's kind of weird because the reason why she was weak was because she was in love with a robot man. So I don't know. It's weird.
She's been unsure about using her powers, whereas Captain Marvel is super sure of herself. Just kind of more refreshing.
It is refreshing, but it's also why Captain Marvel couldn't exist until now for the movie-going audience, because it's like, oh, well, that's the answer to every problem right there. So she had to come after the problem happened, obviously. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, you should have just called her like way earlier, Nick Fury. What are you doing? But yeah, anyways, that's neither here nor there. She brings them back to Earth, like on their last dying breath, basically, and join up with the others at the Avengers hideout or headquarters or whatever you want to call it. And they're like, okay, well, let's go kill Thanos now. And they totally do. They find Thanos and they just kind of like attack him and cut off his fucking head. That's weird. So
it's pretty good. It reminded me of the Snoke thing from Star Wars.
So up until this part, my mind was of two ways. Like, I was like, I want to see how they're going to take this. They're either going to do the Nebula thing where they kind of like use his arrogance against him so that he like becomes some weird incorporeal being, losing like most of his power because he's no longer wearing the glove officially. And then like somebody who's close to him, aka Nebula, will sneak it off him and then they'll just like destroy him or whatever. Or they're going to do the time travel thing. So as soon as I saw his head get lopped off, I'm like, oh, they're going time travel. Okay, cool. That's how we're going. All right then.
Yeah.
Like
I was pretty sure they were gonna go the route where he's already gotten rid of the gems.
Yeah.
Because
it makes more sense the way they do it.
Yeah, like the way him living on the garden planet and having like hung up his armor is like the I'm done thing. So it makes more sense for him to actually completely gotten rid of the gauntlet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So at this point, it was just like, okay, they're going to go the time travel route, or like they're going to go the way basically of the quantum realm and Ant-Man and all that stuff, because they kind of set that up anyway. This, like, it all just like kind of flopped into making sense. Like, I kind of figured it was going to go one of two ways. This is the path they chose. Okay, cool. And then it also started leading me to believe, oh, okay, so this is probably going to happen. Captain America is probably going to go back in time to live out the rest of his life with Peggy. This is probably, like, it kind of, like, becomes super predictable at this point, because, like, the big thing for me was, does Cap live to do that? Because if he lives at the end of this, he's going back in time, and, like, that's how he leaves, and we'll get to that point. But, I mean, it totally happens. So they attack him, and he's just kind of like, I destroyed the gems and it fucked up my body in the process, which is why I'm like so weak right now. And then Thor's like, I hate you, and cuts off his head. That's the end of Thanos. So there you go.
Basically, like, yeah, Thanos is like, starts talking to Nebula, and he's like, just like making his case again for why doing what he was doing was the right thing. And Thor just kind of like spazzes, panics or whatever.
Yeah.
And just cuts off his head.
He's just not having it, for sure. Thor got a really rough deal. Seeing like your whole people get kind of annihilated. Like, yeah, he has problems.
Yeah. So. Like a lot of, and honestly, one of the things I like about how this direction of the movie is that it's leans heavily into the PTSD thing. What they've been doing with the Avengers movies since the first one. Yeah. But I think this movie did it the best. Just because like the the scale of what happened was so nuts, you get why people wouldn't be able to like get over it.
Totally. And that's kind of where it cuts off. From Thanos' head being cut off, it cuts to 5 years later, and it kind of shows how humanity is struggling to like try to find some sort of like normality in the fact that everybody's loved ones are gone, and the survivors get to just like try to figure out how to live the rest of their lives with everything they've known and loved being gone in an instant for whatever reason, and that includes the Avengers, where they obviously blame themselves, a lot of them. Some of them have been able to move on, like Tony Stark has a kid now with Pepper, and like kind of a happy life or whatever, even though like he's obviously haunted with regret. And Captain America is doing like group talks with survivors and stuff. Like, it's rough. It's a rough time, honestly.
Well, I like that Tony, who was the most adamant that they needed to prevent this, is the one who's like actually doing the best. Like, his life is actually great.
Yeah.
Despite his trauma, whereas like some other people are doing less well. Hulk's doing pretty good too. But
yeah, Hulk found this weird inner peace thing going on. It's weird. It's super odd.
Look, they did Smart Hulk.
They did Smart Hulk.
I like their version, and I like their version of Smart Hulk.
I do too, but like, I'm gonna be real, it's kind of a bummer not seeing him smash. It's kind of a bummer not seeing Hulk smash.
We get some Hulk smash.
I mean, half-heartedly, because he's trying to fit in. It's actually funnier that way.
Well,
but
I like when he puts his hands up. Rah!
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I guess that's another thing, is that even though this movie is dire and like just sour notes everywhere and like depressing and terrible, it still has a lighthearted like humor about stuff, even in like dark moments. And I think that's like super important for the MCU brand in general, for their writing, and this is no different. So 5 years happens, and it kind of just like goes through everybody and kind of shows like where they are mentally and like with people and stuff like that. A Black Widow is kind of just like taking up the reins of the Avengers and like keeping in touch with people around the universe with different issues going on, because she doesn't really have a family, so that's kind of like her thing anyways. And yeah, it's weird. I guess the big thing though is that this is when Ant-Man comes back from the quantum realm randomly, and is like just teleported into his van, and is escorted by a security guard out of the room.
He's freed by a rat walking on a console.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot the rat. Actually, that's true. So
it's like,
you have to keep in mind, this is all what was foreseen by Doctor Strange. This is the one chance. So like, he knew that rat was coming. Basically, it's so stupid. So yeah, in dumb MCU fashion, he escapes the quantum realm because a rat decided to walk across his dashboard controls for his quantum realm machine in the back of his shitty van. And of course, he's just like, holy shit, what happened? And then finds the Avengers, goes to the Avengers hideout or compound to be like, yo.
First he finds
his daughter.
First he finds his daughter, who's like, 5 years older now.
Mm-hmm.
No longer a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And also he finds his own name on the memorial.
Yeah. Even though he's just been missing, he wasn't actually.
Yeah.
Well, when you get into weird time travel paradoxes, he might have been annihilated and might not. It's a weird like Schrodinger's thing, I think, at that point. So for all intents and purposes, nobody could find him, so everybody just assumed Thanos got him.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Fair assumption.
Yeah. And maybe he did get him in some alternate way. I don't know. This shit is like mind-bending if you start thinking too hard about it, so you just kind of gotta go with the flow with this garbage.
Nah, it's all very straightforward and simple.
It's extremely simple. That's true. So yeah, he hits up the Avengers and just like, yo, I know this is like dumb sounding, but what if we could time travel though? And they're all like, yeah, you're right, that is dumb sounding, but also we're talking to like a raccoon, so maybe we should check it out. And we know just the guy to do it. And Tony's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I got a kid. I don't want to do this shit. Which is like, it was at that moment that I realized, oh, that's why they gave him the okay life. Because if they had to make it some sort of internal struggle of like, why would he want to help them when he's already okay, sort of thing. Like, they still had to like play off that, even like in the end, he always was a little more about his self-interest, which is why when it turns to like him just doing it for fun to see if he could basically do it, to figure out the like quantum GPS, basically, he does. And then it's just like, oh, well, I wish they had gone. I don't know how you would do it in this movie. It's probably not the right movie to do it, but I really, really liked that he had kind of just like a crisis moment of like, I solved time travel and it's like terrifying. Like, I wish they had dived into that more, but also this is a 3-hour movie and it was not the time or place to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if ever you're thinking, I wish they had done more of this, it's like, okay, but we're already it's a really long movie.
It's extraordinarily long. I think the way they did do it was good enough, though, with his whole being like, I should just like drop it in the middle of like the lake or whatever and just like go to bed, and Pepper just being like, yeah, but would you rest knowing that or whatever? It's like, okay, you know what? You summed up like this whole problem and like got to his character in like one line. That's just good writing. So it's fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he just basically goes back to the Avenger compound, is just like, yeah, I fixed your problem. It was kind of easy or whatever. At this point, they had been testing with Scott to see if they could like transport him and bring him back in one piece, basically. And they brought him back multiple times in different stages of life, basically.
Yeah, they describe it as they put time through him instead of sending him through time.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of a clever little gag. Obviously, like, for the silly, like, he's a baby and now he's an old man and blah, blah, blah. But, like, also, like, the way that, like, Tony Stark knew, like, the way they would go and why it was probably screwed up. Because he's a smart dude.
Yeah, and that's when Hulk gets reintroduced, because they go to, talk to the second smartest guy they know.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner. And he turns out he's just the Hulk all the time now.
Yeah, he's just always the Hulk. And you know what? I guess that makes sense, because in a world where
always angry,
there's a lot of people that have nothing left to lose, I bet there's probably a lot of muggings and stuff, and you're not going to mug a guy that big. So walking around as him is probably easier.
He has fans.
He does have fans.
He dabs for them.
Best part of the movie, as far as I'm concerned. Kind of the only way to go. Okay, so I guess the big thing is we finally got to the core talking about how this movie goes. So the way that they're going to fix this problem is not by going to the past to kill Thanos and like create alternate timelines or like destroy this one or blah, blah, blah. It's to actually this is all part of this same timeline, because the way they're talking about it is you don't go back to the past and change stuff to change the outcome in the future, because that future will always happen no matter what, and it'll just create an infinite time loop or whatever. So what you do is you go back to a point where you can get stuff to help you in the future and then continue on your future. So the idea is, instead of just grabbing the stones and like bringing everybody back and killing Thanos in the past, we're going to bring them back to the future, then bring everybody back, and then we're going to put them back, put the stones back, because Thanos is dead. There's no reason to believe that he's any problem anymore. Now we just have to figure out on how to get half of every being in the universe back living. So we're going to bring them all back.
We have to.
Then we're going to go back in time.
The time heist.
Yeah, it's the time heist.
The time heist.
The time heist, yeah. Exactly. And then we're going to put...
I love that idea.
We're going to put everything back just the way it was, so that like it doesn't create any time paradoxes, basically, and we're going to continue on our timeline and blah blah blah. And they split up into a bunch of groups because there's 6 stones, and they decide to go after the stones where they were, kind of like the fucking like minute before Thanos got there. It's kind of weird that they didn't choose to go a little back further, but it's probably just due to the fact that like that's the only information they had of where they were at that time, because the stones like changed hands a lot of times, some of them.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's whatever.
Well, I mean, they're not that close to when Thanos gets them. Like, one of them is during the first Avengers movie, just because there happened to be 3
in New York
time
City.
stones in New York at that same time.
Yeah, in 2012.
So that's just, efficient.
Yeah.
Then there's the one from, they have to go back to Thor 2 or whatever. And, or like post Thor 2, whatever. And then they have to go to the start of Guardians 1, like before Peter Quill gets the stone, because they know it's there.
Yeah.
And he had the tool to get it, and then there just happened to also. But like that one becomes a problem just because Thanos exists in that space area and is looking for the stones. That even then, even though it's
Yeah.
he hasn't actually got a lead on them yet.
Yeah, they made a weird error that nobody could have really foreseen, where by sending Nebula back, she interacted with her own networking brain self because they exist in the same time there, and kind of gave away the plan, as it were.
Yeah. It allows Thanos to watch the movie,
Yeah,
so he knows the plot.
right, exactly. Which is
They turn a Spaceballs joke into a serious plot point in the biggest movie ever.
it's actually hilarious and kind of brilliant too, because what it does for Thanos' character is he goes from this weird like mercenary, like I know how to fix all the problems in the universe dude, to being the actual Mad Titan by like knowing that even his plan didn't work in the end, because he saw it and they're like obviously still like fighting, so like it's weird.
Yeah. And he's like, you motherfuckers chop my head off.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Just the fact that it's like he saw into the future, but like through their time travel and like watching the movie, essentially seeing that like his solution didn't actually solve everyone's problem. So now he's just crazy. He is actually the crazy Thanos, which is hilarious to me.
He's gonna burn everything to the ground and start anew, make a grateful world.
And it's really funny to me because the way they treated him in the first half in Infinity War is that whole movie is his hero's journey. At this movie, they needed a villain. So in this movie, they found a way to make him the villain, even though he was like on his hero's journey. It's actually, like, if you break it down, kind of impressive the way they did it writing wise. Like, there's a lot of things I'm super impressed with writing wise in this movie. But now we're going to talk about some of the stuff that I found boring, kind of. Like, not all of it. It has its ups and downs. So this whole time travel thing, 6 different stones in different parts of time. Like, I know 2012 is one of them in New York. That's the one you were saying for the 3. I think at some point they find out a problem with, the Tesseract gets stolen by Loki because of a fuck up that they do, and they're planning to try to steal it back in that time zone. So they have to go back to 1970. And at the same time, they also get some of Pym's magical juice, basically, so they can continue time traveling, which was another small problem they had that they were able to fix.
Yeah, they were limited on the amount of Pym particles they had left.
Yeah.
So they end up being able to get more when they go back to the 70s to steal the Tesseract in another time they knew it is.
Yeah,
but also Loki just stealing the Tesseract and dipping, and that... Just in that timeline, Loki just got the Tesseract and left.
It's really good.
I find it really funny.
Yeah, it's super, super good.
It's like the big loose end in the movie.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Like, nobody knows now. Loki just exists somewhere. So there's that.
I mean, maybe Captain America cleaned it up, but we don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea. So that's I'm sure that's probably something that they wanted to do. They didn't want Loki to like always be dead, obviously, because they were probably going to use him for more stuff.
Yeah. They have an option now.
I think so. I have to just get this out because I was fucking dying and nobody else in the theater like made any sound or anything. They actually got Captain America to say "Hail Hydra," and I was like, "Oh my god, the best Easter egg! This is the best timeline."
It's pretty hilarious. It was pretty great.
And I was annoyed because like I feel bad saying that I was with my girlfriend and like she has no idea about like even memes, let alone like that thing happening in the comics. So it's like I have nobody to share this moment with, and I was dying. I was so like happy.
Oh man,
I couldn't believe they put in a Hail Hydra. That was so good.
Yeah, that had a pretty good audience reaction. Where in my theater,
damn it didn't have any in mine at all. What a bummer. What a bummer. They get Loki's staff fine, so that one from that time zone's fine. The Tesseract's gone, and what was the other one from that time? Oh, Doctor Strange's the time gem, which Tilda Swinton's character at this point has because Doctor Strange doesn't exist yet.
Yes.
Which just takes some like talking, like that was just all Bruce Banner's charisma checks basically, and
yes,
it went pretty good because of course it was like there was no way that he could take her on in a fight. So it makes.
We also get a good like little visual version of how the time travel stuff works and how like
the timeline thing.
Taking the time gem from this timeline splits it off into like a dark world where it doesn't have the time gem to defend itself or whatever. Like that's the reason she's unwilling to give it to the Hulk, because this timeline needs it. Like sure, this will help your timeline, but what if you don't succeed and are able to come back?
Right.
It's a big risk.
Yeah, totally.
But then he mentions that Doctor Strange is just handed it over. Yeah. And she kind of goes, "Oh, he had a plan."
Yeah.
This has to happen.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be the best of us, and if he's the best and made this decision, obviously there's a huge reason. So maybe I shouldn't step in the way of fate and destiny and all that shit. Yeah, no, totally. There's like a lot of underlying conversation going on in that moment without it being explicitly said, which I always like.
And we get to see some normal Mark Ruffalo because his soul gets slapped out of him.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's just his spirit talking to her.
That's true. Yeah. So, okay. And then the 1970s thing, it was fine. Honestly, it seemed like kind of like, first of all, an easy way to kill two birds with one stone, but also to get Tony some FaceTime with his dad is what it feels like. That's why that scene exists and why it wasn't like...
Well, it's also to like reestablish the Peggy Steve thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they push that a lot, and that like pushed me further and further to be like, yeah, I get it, movie. I know what you're gonna do. It's okay. We'll get through this. Okay.
But yeah, there's no like villain that's in their way in that time at that time.
No, yeah.
So it's pretty uneventful.
Which is nice. Like it's really nice that there's some of these timeline things that are just like, no, it worked out fine. Like, why would it not have? You know exactly where it was, and you were there at that exact time and grabbed it and left. Big deal.
Yeah.
The one...
I mean, sometimes the Hulk walks into you. Because he had to walk downstairs.
Yeah.
Fucking stairs.
He was pretty mad. He should have just jumped from the top of the tower.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
but
they told him to use the stairs.
Yeah. Like, it seemed like that was the whole reason why he went into smart Hulk form, is because it's easier to, like, be your own person when you're not so stupidly blinded by rage that you just follow orders all the time. You can actually think for yourself. Like the stairs, for example. Okay, I don't remember what year it was, but on that one planet with Quill, they grab the other stone, and it's one of those situations of Nebula seems like she was made for this because she has the robot hand that can reach into that, like, power grid thing, basically, and just pull it out without damaging her actual body. So her and Rhodes grab it, and Rhodes is just like, meet me back at the thing, and then he leaves, and she has a brain aneurysm, which is actually Thanos reading her or watching her memories or whatever, and that's kind of like how that happens and whatever. So she gets captured at that point. But yeah, no problems there. I guess the weird one for me is that I was wondering how they were going to do the Red Skull one. I'm guessing I think it's the Soul Stone.
Yes, it is.
So in the first movie, so Thanos had to sacrifice in Infinity War. Thanos had to sacrifice. It was a soul for a soul, basically. He had to sacrifice something that he cared about, and that's where he kills his daughter that he actually likes, not the fake daughter that he just uses because she's an assassin, essentially.
I mean, look, they're both his fake daughters.
Yeah, but this is the one he likes, so that's why it was important.
It's the one he liked more. Yes.
Yeah. So in that movie, he kills her, and then he gets it. In this, this is where Black Widow and Hawkeye kind of are like hanging out and trying to get, and then Red Skull does this whole like, I know who you are, come with me, soul for a soul, one of you, ultimate sacrifice, blah, 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 or whatever. And they kind of like have this moment where they each think they're the one that should do it and kind of have a small tiff and fight about it, which is like...
Yeah, we kind of skipped over the Hawkeye went crazy. And
Hawkeye's a mercenary
killing.
now. Yeah.
He's not a mercenary, he's just a murderer. He just goes around killing gangsters. Like, just slaughtering them.
Yeah, no big deal. Real cool scene with the Yakuza boss guy, though.
Yeah.
That was neat.
Yeah, he has a little sword fight.
Yeah, he's good with the sword.
I mean, the problem with this scene, though, is that people don't care about Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So he wasn't going to die.
Right. It's one of those things that, like, it's kind of obvious Black Widow would have been the one because he has a family that he's going to get back to. She has nothing. She has absolutely no, like, skills that really lead her in a hand-to-hand battle with gods. This is kind of like the way that she can make up for just being a normal human spy in this, like, grand scheme thing. So, like, it's obvious that she was probably going to be the one to bite it. It seemed too easy to let Hawkeye do it, honestly. And I think the way they do it is fitting, where they have a kind of, like, little martial battle of what the thing they do is trying to jump off the cliff, which is kind of neat, where he shoots an explosive bolt and, like, to throw her off course as she's running, and then she jumps off after he jumps off and, like, pins him to the rock face. Like, it's really cool. I actually thought it was neat. So, yeah.
Yeah, the action for that part was good.
And then she dies, and
which is
it's
like,
too bad.
A big thing with the Marvel movies in general is I think the last bunch the action has gotten much better.
It's very good
than the earlier ones, which is very nice considering how fucking huge this movie is.
Yeah, no, totally.
It's nice that the actions, they've figured out how to do it better.
Totally, agreed. I feel like I'm forgetting the stone from Asgard. It's just Rocket Raccoon grabbing it from Jane because she's just a dumb human girl, and he could just do that. He does get spotted doing it, and is just kind of running away from guards, but whatever.
Yeah, but we never talked about Fat Thor.
That's true. Thor, we find out in the 5 years, has gotten a beer gut and has been playing a lot of Fortnite with his buddies.
Yeah, man.
So when I saw Fortnite on the TV, I visibly cringed. I was like, oh.
Look, man, he's got to get on voice chat and threaten to kill children.
I want to pull that line. That's a good audio line. Yeah. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say there. He went crazy, and he's the one that really, like, if you think of Vietnam movies or movies where, like, a character served in a war and they have PTSD and then they, like, are this, like, fat slob drinking beer, that's what Thor is in this movie. The whole time, actually, though. Yeah. And he's a drunk now, basically. Because, of course, he is.
It's kind of, it's wild. It's like the phases that Thor has gone through these movies. Like, he's changed from movie to movie
dramatically,
more than any character, I think.
Yeah, it's really weird, especially how this ends, where he's chilling with the Guardians crew. Is really odd. So,
I'm so I love that.
He fits in so well with their crew, so it's perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot of. I guess the big thing there is Thor going back to that time. He gets to speak with his mother again, and she kind of gives him the little kick in the ass he needs to, like, get his shit together. And I really like that scene, actually. I thought that was really good, heartwarming scene. That was nice.
Yeah.
He needed that scene. I think everybody in the audience needed it too. There was some weird shit going on, and that was a nice, wholesome scene that everybody just needed, I think, for a breather. And Rocket Raccoon is just a weird little dude in every scene he's in, so I just enjoy watching him skitter around and stuff. So I just like raccoons. That's all I have to say about him.
Rocket Raccoon's pretty great.
And this is when the movie, for me, so, like,
also the last thing though is that before he leaves, Thor summons Mjolnir from that world.
Oh yeah,
so he's got the hammer back.
It's pretty good how he's, like, just holds his hand up for a moment. It's just like Rock is just, like, looking at him like, what are you doing?
Sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah, no, that seems.
And then
good.
He's stoked he's still worthy.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He was worried about it.
Yep. So now he is armed with Stormbreaker and Mjolnir, so that's dope.
Oh man, when he like has both of them,
it's so good.
I was getting excited.
It's so good. Every time Thor, like, actually becomes the God of Thunder in these films, it's so fucking good. Oh.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen enough as far as I'm concerned, but I understand why. Okay. So that's the stuff, even though, like, there's some good parts in there, I felt it really dragged for me. Like, there's something weird about how it was paced, and I don't know why. Because, like, I guess it's maybe just going back and forth between the different things. There's just so many things going on. It's just so many different, like, places and themes and people and star power, and, like, it's just maybe a little much for me.
I mean, what it's like is, and I think this is one of the reasons I really like this movie, it's really, really like an event comic book. The way those giant stories that are just cramming in all the characters, it's really like them in all their flaws and all their strengths. It nails it in a way that I've never felt like these movies did before, even. And so that's really why that's a real big reason why I dig this, is that they really captured that feeling and that thing of, like, these disparate. I just like that, and I like that, like, that time heist. When they said time heist, I was all in, because just the idea of characters in a movie having a plan and doing specific tasks, I think, is just good structure for a movie. It just gets plot. It just lets the machinery of movies, the way they work, play out well, and gets the pieces in the right place.
I don't care about any of that shit at all. So it's, for me, it dragged. The part I did care about was seeing, the Avengers Assemble part, where they're all back together and they're all fighting, because that's what they do. They fight. They fight all the time. I think it would have been interesting. Like, I know why you can't do it. Well, here's the thing, is that it's Disney. They can do whatever they want, and it would print money. I think if this movie was just all the time travel stuff, and they kind of, like, went more into each one, it could have been okay. I felt like there was either too much or not enough. Like, I wish it had gone further with the time travel stuff and, like, maybe put some, like, cool new ideas in there, and then that was the whole movie, and then the next one was just a giant battle. Or they just, like, skip over it a little more than they did. Like, I would have liked less or more, basically, of that stuff. And I don't know how you do more, though. Like, the weird thing is that the battle that comes up is obviously the most expensive thing they've ever done, ever, because it's crazy. And I don't think you could do a full movie of that battle, because that would be the most expensive movie ever made, probably. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you do a... I don't know. It almost seems like I wish this was a Netflix series or something, or like a series. And this, like, each time travel segment was like a full episode for an hour. Like, I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, this is a 3-hour thing. I think they probably did the best with it they could. I just didn't care enough about it myself. So for me, the movie starts here. This is when I was, like, all in. They have the stones, and of course everything goes wrong because it's a comic book movie, and there's always a problem. And that problem is that the bad Nebula from the past took the good Nebula from the future's place and kind of, like, infiltrated, brought through the Thanos and all his goons essentially through the time portal thing. And
it just comes through as a warship and it just, like, bursts through the ceiling.
Yeah,
it's really good.
And I think what I like about that too is that they don't notice because they're so busy bringing everybody that was gone back and, like, doing the gauntlet thing. So, like, they've, like, locked themselves down. Yeah, for sure. And then, like, you don't know for sure if it worked, but they give you, like, some little things indicating that it did. Like, birds start chirping when it was completely quiet before, and I didn't actually notice until that moment that, like, it was, like, deathly quiet in every scene outside, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But the big thing is that Hawkeye's wife tries, like, calling him on his cell phone, which I felt was maybe a little ham-fisted way to show it, but whatever. It's fine. It's cute, I guess. It's like, oh, okay, it definitely worked, actually, because he's getting the call.
And there's some talk about who should be the one to do it.
Yeah.
And then Hulk's like, nah, it's got to be me, because you're all fucking weak.
You're all weak.
I can handle it.
Also, gamma radiation's kind of my bag, baby.
Yeah. But it still fucks him up. He just now has one tiny arm.
Yeah.
He skips arm day on that side.
Yeah, that part is actually kind of scary. Like, when that happens and he's just, like, getting fucked. Just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power. I guess, like, that makes sense. The power of gods would probably do that. Look what it did to everybody in the Raiders of the Lost Ark when they opened the Ark. So, like, yeah, that's a thing. Gods have a lot of power. So, yeah, he brings everybody back, and he has weird weak arm syndrome after that, and is kind of, like, burnt looking just in general. This is such a stupid detail. I really, really like that they made a gauntlet using, like, the Iron Man, like, form-fitting tech that just, like, goes bigger or smaller depending on the head. I don't know why. I just think that's really neat and satisfying to see it, like, open up really big for him. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Warship comes through and just starts blasting the shit out of things, and Thanos is just kind of waiting for the gauntlet, basically. He just kind of sets down, tells Nebula to go get him the gauntlet, and that he's just going to chill here. And he literally does that. He just sits there and waits for a while everybody kind of, like, gets out of the rubble that was their base of operations, and For me, it's just like the part I really, really like, just like chills from that moment of like the three, like Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man walking out of the like rubble up to him. Just like, oh, it's so fucking on. Here we go, boys. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, it's so good.
10 years and 2 hours of movie, and here we go. It's happening. And, I mean, it's hard to, like, really, it's a fight. Like, it's hard to talk about without, it's a thing you have to see. I think it's really cool. Some of the big stuff, obviously, is Thor being lightning god and just like glowing and lightning sparks and everything. I just think is so fucking cool every time, and this is no different here at all. I guess the big difference though is that Mjolnir is wielded by Captain America because he is worthy at this point, and it's fucking dope. It's so good. Oh my god. Just like
it's so good.
Throwing the shield and then smacking it with the hammer to create a sound wave and then throwing it and just like batting it back and forth on him. Oh my god, my brain. I was just like, it's so fucking good. Oh,
it's very good.
Just like wanted to cry. I was so happy. It's so good. And then Tony Stark's doing Tony things. At this point, I'm kind of less impressed with Iron Man in general because like it's always just a laser beam that's split up different ways.
Yeah, like the big thing he does, he has like this back thing, and like Thor shoots lightning into it, and then he like turns it into lasers.
Yeah, I remember. I think this is a thing I was talking about with Nathan back when the first Avengers came out. The thing I like in these movies, and I felt ever since Age of Ultron has kind of like lacked a little bit more and more, is I really, really like in these movies where they actually fight as a unit, like using each other's abilities to like do cool things. And I felt this fight specifically had all of that stuff again in a way that like I felt hasn't been there for a while. And it's so gratifying. Also, I would be remiss to not like bring up that it's super nice. The big problem I had with Infinity War is that when people saw that and like maybe don't know Thanos at all or whatever, right? They probably think that all of his power is because he has the powerful glove. Like obviously he's a good hand-to-hand combatant because he fights the Hulk in the beginning of the movie and like he holds his own. But also people could probably get the impression that, oh, that's probably because he just has like the power stones. But the fact is that Thanos has always been super smart and very skilled as a warrior, and like there's a reason why people are scared of him, because he will fucking murder you. And it's so nice to see him without the crutch of the gauntlet showing off like why he's a fearsome warrior and just like taking on the three of them by himself and like holding his own.
When he's just like, he's got his like fucking double bladed thing.
Yeah.
It's just giant weapon, and he's just like hacking away Captain America's shield.
It's so good.
It's like hacked in half.
It's so fucking good. Oh my god. And then like Captain America using the shield, like tightening the shield strap to like hold his arm together, basically. Fuck. Oh my god. There's so many good scenes. Oh my god. Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm bummed out that the Hulk kind of does nothing again. I really like the Hulk, and I understand like that he has like a character arc thing, and he's kind of not maybe as entertaining to watch or maybe even as good of a strong fighter as when he just goes berserk and like attacks everything that's in his range. But I really like that part of the Hulk in the other movies, and I kind of miss that in this and the other one, but the other one I don't even count because he's just Bruce the whole time.
Yeah.
Bummer.
No, that's fair. It's the reason I, in general, don't like Smart Hulk that much as like a thing that happened in the comics. I prefer Savage Hulk.
I like Hulk Smash. I love it.
Yeah.
I miss it.
I mean, honestly, my favorite Hulk is like this weird, like not super dumb Hulk, honestly, but it's just pissed off Hulk. Just like very angry, like just mad. Like there's a storyline in the comics, and they're good Hulk comics where he's like separated from Bruce. There's
Yeah,
like this one good storyline where like Bruce Banner is the villain, trying to. It's like he keeps changing back and like being put in ridiculous situations by like evil Bruce.
that's pretty
Pretty
good.
good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. In this though,
That has the line, "You wouldn't like me when I'm not angry." He's trying to get the Punisher to shoot him in the face so he can stay angry.
I mean, that's just smart thinking right there. I will say though, like, I guess his role in this, I kind of like the big thing he does is that when the building's collapsing, he's the big guy like holding up the like all the rubble for the people underneath it that need to get out, which is like Rocket and specifically Jeremy Renner, because he's the one that finds the gauntlet and has to run through a sewer full of those weird Thanos army crab people, spider things that are chasing him. I can't remember the name of them, but
I think they're the Chitauri.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he so basically, while the three are fighting Thanos, they're just all trying to like get out, and by the time they do get out, oh, I guess like this is where Gamora comes in as well, and like good Nebula meet up with him because bad Nebula almost gets the gauntlet away from Hawkeye, and they kind of do the like trying to have bad Gamora have a change of heart, and then they just end up fucking shooting her just because fuck you, basically.
Nebula kills herself.
Yep. It's pretty good, I guess. It seemed easy, but I kind of like that sometimes in these movies it just takes a gunshot to the chest. Like that's fine. You don't need to be godly in everything. Like sometimes you get shot. So, whatever.
Well, I just like that it's Nebula that does it. She's like, I'm not irredeemable. Like, I'm not beyond redemption, but I'm pretty unreasonable at this point, so I'm just going to have to shoot myself.
Yeah.
If she's, like, going to threaten my sister.
It's kind of a moment, too.
She will try to kill Gamora. She's, like, well aware that she's going to try and murder Gamora.
It's kind of like a metaphor and a moment for her, too, of her killing her old self, like, literally.
Yeah,
so,
like her character growth.
Yeah, exactly.
I was surprised, like, honestly, how much I liked Nebula at this point in these movies.
Yeah, because I fucking didn't care about her at all to begin with. Holy shit. What a throwaway character she used to be.
She was pretty good.
Yeah, she turned out to be real cool. And I'm excited to see what she gets into now later on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of like the big, I think, Gamora scene. I guess the other Gamora scene is that eventually when Quill comes back, they have, like, a meeting, but obviously she doesn't know him because they didn't have... She's past Gamora. They didn't have the whole, like, interaction and dancing and love scenes and all that stuff. So she just kind of kicks him in the balls.
Like, she actually knew of him, though, because
Sure.
Nebula, I guess, told her about him off screen. And she's just like, really? I like this guy?
Yeah, it was him or a tree or whatever. It's like, yeah. That's basically Gamora, though. Like, she's done at this point. So I figured we should just talk about that scene because that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at this point, everybody is together, kind of. But this is the point you were talking about where Thanos is kicking the ever-living shit out of Captain America. And then, of course, Captain America, being who he is, gets back up because he always gets back up. He doesn't like bullies, so he just stands there single, like just him with a broken shield, like ready to fight this whole army that's encroaching upon the like scenery, basically. And then this is the moment where we really find out that it worked because Doctor Strange decides to teleport literally every person capable of fighting he's ever known onto the battlefield, and it's so dope. Holy shit.
It's so good.
It's the moment you wait for where you see the fucking monks doing their like shield shit, the Wakandans like with their spears just getting ready to go, the fucking Asgardians ready, like just everybody like getting up together, and you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, that moment really reminded me. There's like the first comic that got me into Avengers stuff was in like the Onslaught story. It was like the final issue of that, and it starts with a scene like that of like all the characters showing up, where there's like the X-Men are getting their asses kicked by Onslaught, and then the Avengers and everyone else just shows up, and they're like, it's just a great scene that I loved, and this is like the movie version of it. I just like that shit a lot.
I really like that stuff. This is like what I was wanting to see for sure, and I am so happy. And like, so obviously there's a whole lot of like, I don't know what you'd call them. Let's call them pawns for right now. But then you like get the hero classes also coming out with their groups, like Valkyrie like flying in on her Pegasus is fucking dope. The one that got me is fucking Ant-Man walking up as just a giant, just like, oh my god, here we go. It's so good. And somehow Spider-Man swings
those characters
in.
to just really, you just need those characters that like really visually stand out from the rest.
Yeah.
And fucking Giant Man over there is a pretty good one.
Yeah, for sure. Because I can't ever remember his name. Black Panther's name. Do you remember?
Black Panther's,
like his real name, his first name or whatever.
Fuck, I'm blanking.
Yeah, right.
All that's coming to mind is the actor's name.
Oh, that's weird because I don't actually even know the actor's name at all.
Chadwick.
Oh, T'Challa.
Boseman.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, T'Challa.
Yeah.
There we go.
Like him with his people, and like I don't know. It was just so cool seeing them all come out. Seeing Scarlet Witch come out because I'm like obsessed and in love with Elizabeth Olsen. Like my heart stopped. It was. I don't know why. This is weird to me, maybe, but it was weird seeing Evangeline Lilly or Wasp or whatever you want to call her come out because I think this is the first time she's been in that ensemble, right? So like seeing her beside
she's only been
all
in the
of them,
Ant-Man movies.
it's so weird. It was really weird for me, but like I think it's dope. Seeing Drax come out is just like, oh right, I like that guy. I wish they had like shown him fight a little bit more because Drax is supposed to be like super strong, but we never really see him fight, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the version of him in the movies, is even in the Guardians, is more of a joke character than he ever was in the comics.
It's a
but
weird.
He does
way
get
they
a moment
took
of
him.
like jumping on a big guy's back and just stabbing him in a bunch.
Yeah,
so that's pretty good.
Yeah. I wish they had done a little more with him.
It's very short
because he's literally called Drax the Destroyer, and they don't really show why in the movies. But whatever, the movies are like a whole different product, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, like in the comics, Drax is way more tied into that Thanos stuff.
Yeah.
Originally,
isn't that his only reason for literally existing? Is to kill Thanos?
Just to kill Thanos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think he'd be more in there, but nah. It's always nice to see Spider-Man. I don't know what the hell he was able to swing in on, but he swings in from a portal. So obviously he found something.
Like Brock things that were high up in the air.
I guess so. Sure.
He was like swinging. He was swinging. That's why he had to be very far away, so he could get, really get the swing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they build into that one where they show everyone else first.
Yeah.
Before he swings in.
Yeah. Who else?
They know.
Who else is there? Oh my god, I'm trying to remember if there were
like all the Doctor Strange dudes with their.
It's so good.
Their little symbol magic stuff.
Yeah, I really like them coming out, and they have a really cool part later where Thanos is like, "Make it rain" or whatever. And they're like holding up basically umbrellas over their people. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Bucky is there.
Oh, I don't care about Bucky at all.
And Falcon.
Oh, you know what? I don't like Falcon at all, but I liked him in this movie. He has this one part where he flies into a dude and stabs into him with his wings. Just like, there we go.
Yes.
It's about time, dude. It's about time you were awesome. But I still kind of don't
Spider-Man activates his fucking kill mode on his armor.
Yeah, it's really, really good. His eyes go red. So dumb. Oh my god. Also, it was really nice to see Star-Lord again. Like, he doesn't really do a whole lot, but I don't know. I really like that character. So I'm excited for another Guardians, I guess, is the takeaway from what I'm talking about right now. Is really the thing.
I like the big person who's missing at this first point is Captain Marvel. Is not here yet. She gets her entrance later.
Right. Because if she was here, this fight would be over right away. So we need to build up to it. Also, she's like saving other universes, so whatever. She's doing her thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, is there any specific things you want to talk about in the fight itself before like major stuff going on? Some things you liked?
I mean, I really liked when Captain Marvel shows up because he's just so powerful.
Yeah.
I really like Ant-Man just punching one of those giant flying things.
Yeah. I think that's like the first visually interesting thing when they collide, the two sides.
Yeah.
Is like him just smacking one of those fuckers in the face. It's really good. Also stepping on a dude that gets thrown down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. I like Captain America and Thor. Like, so Captain America has been using Mjolnir, but then at one point he ends up with Stormbreaker, and then they're like, no, trade me.
You take the little one. Yeah, that's really good. Captain America with Mjolnir and the shield is like OTP, man. One true pair. It's so
pretty
good.
Great.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm trying to think if like there's just a whole bunch. This is kind of just where there's like really good giant war cinematography going on, where like there's a lot of background stuff of just like nobodies like stabbing each other and like fighting or whatever. Oh, I forgot. Pepper Potts is so good. I love when she comes in and they're her and Iron and Tony are fighting back to back, shooting lasers and stuff. Just so fucking good. Holy shit. Also, I'm obsessed with Pepper Potts as well, so there's also that going on. But yeah,
War Machine gets a new armor.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice actually, to be honest.
Because his
got
after
up.
the explosion, he's got all fucked up, and he ejects from it.
I didn't notice. It's too bad they didn't give him like tank armor, just like giant like machine guns or something. You don't really see him do a lot in this one. I guess probably because you see him earlier, so they don't like focus that much on it. So whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the big thing here now is that this is when the gauntlet held by Hawkeye comes into play, and he is passing it off to Black Panther. We get some cool shit of like Black Panther just like dip, dive, dodging and all that shit like through all these enemies and like taking out giant groups as he's doing it, and then passes it off to Spider-Man, and they're passing this thing up basically is the way it's going across the battlefield.
Hot potato,
yeah. That so Mjolnir being thrown and then Spider-Man like grabbing onto it to get out of just like a clusterfuck of dudes crawling all over him while he's activated in war mode is really good. Yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff going on here. But this is where Thanos sees what's going on, and he's like going for the glove basically. And I think this is also when Scarlet Witch is just like, oh hey, I'm gonna rip you apart basically, and just like this is really good, lifting him up in the air and just like ripping him apart, his armor and shit.
Yeah, so he's just like fire on us.
Yeah,
fire on everyone.
Everything. Yeah. Crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, so then that happens, but then suddenly all the ship stops firing on the ground and starts firing in the air. That's Captain Marvel flies in and just flies through the ship
like 2 or 3 times. Also, we get that really good scene that reminds me of Star Wars, of like the like horizon shot of it falling in the background and blowing up is really, really good.
Yeah.
Man, Captain Marvel
Yeah,
is so
her
cool.
flying through the ship also remind me of that part from Last Jedi with the light speed through the Star Destroyer moment.
So during all of this, though, the glove gets knocked away, and there's a scramble for it. Thanos eventually gets it, puts it on, and then Captain Marvel grabs his hand before he's able to snap and just like starts bending his fucking hand back because she's strong.
Yeah, well, so their goal is to send Thanos back in time, but their primary time machine was destroyed, so they're gonna use the one that was in Scott's van, the quantum realm machine that was in there, and the van is like in the middle of the battlefield, so they're trying to get to that.
Yeah.
So Captain Marvel like tries to fly across the battlefield with the glove after she gets it from Spider-Man. They have a little interaction that I thought was cute.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker." Hey, Peter Parker.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then Thanos kind of cuts her off from reaching there.
Yeah, if I remember, I think he just like throws his glaive into the van and like destroying the machine, basically. Which is how he like gets rid of his weapon.
Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh yes, and there's a moment in the battle where Tony talks to Doctor Strange. He's like, you said we had one chance. This is it, and isn't it? And he's like, if I tell you, it won't work.
Yeah.
And then at this point, when Thanos has stopped her, Doctor Strange holds up the one finger to Tony.
Yeah. It's like, really good moment for sure.
It has to be now.
And then there's this kind of a fight to get the glove.
Yeah, basically. and Doctor Strange is kind of taken out of the fight because he has to like hold back this lake that's gonna flood everything after the ship was firing on everything and wrecking the landscape.
I do think it would have been fun in the writer's room just being like, okay, Doctor Strange is like a god. How do we make sure he doesn't just Deus Ex Machina this fight out of existence? Oh, this is how. He has to make sure that everybody in the field doesn't die the whole time. So, like, and this is a thing that they've done through all of the movies when they started getting into the gods. Like, how do we make sure Thor in his first movie doesn't just God of Lightning the big baddie at the end and kill him instantly? Oh, he's an idiot. I don't know. There's like weird reasoning, and I don't like the first movie that much. There's weird reasoning in that one. But yeah, I don't. Thor, like, we could do a full hour on Thor alone because I have some weird thoughts about that whole, specifically about his movies are so fucking different and weird in bad and good ways that's like a whole different topic. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot more to really talk about. I guess like this is the big moment where he's about to snap his fingers, and then he does, and then he realizes that the stones aren't there because they're on Tony's glove, and it's there's this whole like line, I guess, like we didn't mention it before, but there's this whole idea that Thanos is like, I'm inevitable, just like that he's gonna like destroy everything at some point anyway. And he's like saying like, I am inevitable, snaps his fingers, nothing happens. And this is like the moment that Iron Man gets where he's like, I am Iron Man. It just snaps his fingers and like a fucking shockwave goes out and dusts everything that's from the past, basically. And that's it. That's the movie.
Yeah.
GG. Easy. All you needed.
GG easy.
All you needed were the 6 stones. And to snap your fingers, God, what was so hard about that?
Yeah. Well, and then you die.
Yeah, so this is like the ending part stuff now, where this is like the finality part. So, Tony Stark was not strong enough to do what he did, which is why it's the grand sacrifice. I think most people saw this coming, that Tony would have the grand sacrifice of some sort. So this wasn't really that much of a surprise. It was a really bittersweet, sad surprise to see Pepper Potts in her Iron Woman suit with him as he does it, as he dies. That's fucking like just sad. But the part that made me sad is like there's a funeral for him like a little bit later on at the ending, and like his daughter is just I just can't. That shit gets to me. The daughter like being at the funeral and the like I love you 3000 thing, like, oh no, it's so bad. Why? Why? She's gonna grow up to be a villain. Just watch. Just watch. This is how villains are created. This is how Thanos literally started. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so he gives the grand sacrifice. There's a really nice moment of them doing the memorial of like pushing his heart thing out onto the lake that says like proof that Tony Stark has a heart on it. And I guess like what I like about that part is the pan just like back from the dock showing just like all of the Avengers basically, or all the important ones if we're going to be real. And that whole thing just like mourning his loss or whatever.
That's not true. Spider-Man's not there.
That's true. Spider-Man's at school actually hanging out with his bud. Yeah. So that's cool.
He had to go back to school.
That's because Spider-Man will return in Far From Home in July, so look forward to that, I guess.
Yeah, the actual last movie in this phase of Marvel movies, technically.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, this was the last movie, like, for me, in my heart. This is, like, literally what 10 years has been building up to. So, for me, like, all the rest of them coming out are fine, but this is the thing. Like, this is what I've been waiting years for, like literally. So it feels almost like a weight has been lifted in a weird way, but it's also kind of sad. So I don't know, just like nothing really to look forward to for me yet until they start announcing some cool new stuff that they're gonna do. What else at the end? Oh, like a big thing is Thor telling Valkyrie that he's not gonna stay as king of New Asgard, and that they're gonna look to her, so she's gonna be the queen of Asgard, or New Asgard, and he's gonna hang out with his new buddies and Guardians of the Galaxy. So that was kind of nice. I can't wait for that shit. That might be like the best series going forward.
Chris and Chris.
Yeah, exactly. They have such good chemistry together. Like that whole crew has such good chemistry together.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest problem with Guardians 2 was that the characters weren't together enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
all their internal strife with each other was like, yeah, but what I like about this movie is these character interactions. I just want them together more.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that'll be cool. I guess like the big thing on that ending is that it showed that he's probably going to be looking for Gamora, because he's like looking her up and then hides it when
she just goes missing. She dips.
Yeah, like I guess like I wouldn't blame anybody for thinking that she was killed in the thing, because he probably snapped his fingers and just killed everybody that was part of the posse. But the thing about all movies is that if you don't see the main character die on screen, and even if you do sometimes, by the way, they're not dead. So she's probably somewhere, or will come back.
Gamora is super alive.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be a thing that going forward, and Nebula's part of that crew and everything. Like, that's going to be a good time, those movies. I'm looking forward to that. Wakanda is Wakanda. Like, T'Challa's hanging out there on his, like, terrace looking out, and that'll be that. Whatever they do with that, like, there was nothing special with his ending. He's back. So I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
So whatever. Peter Parker we talked about. I'm trying to think if they're for the like there's the big main one that will end on. I guess Captain Marvel probably just took off doing Captain Marvel stuff as she does.
Yeah, she's got other stuff to do.
Hawkeye got his family back, which is nice.
Yeah, and him and Scarlet Witch have a scene of together reminiscing about dead people.
Yeah.
Because specifically the two people who were not able to be brought back, Vision and Black Widow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of it. So I guess the final scene is Captain America is going to go back to through time with the help of Scott, Ant-Man, and the Hulk, and return. Oh, and I guess what's his name is there too. Bucky's there for whatever reason, because I guess he was hanging out on set and they could use him for like framing or something. And
I mean, Bucky and Falcon are there because they're friends with Captain America.
Sure. Both characters I don't give shits about at all, but whatever. It's whatever. So he's going to go back through time and deliver the stones to exactly where they were to ensure that everything is kosher and cool and that he'll be right back. And then he decides somewhere along the way that he is going to go back in time and live out his life with Peggy, which is, foreshadowed forever in this series. So that's really, it's just nice to know that he got like a good life. And it kind of ends on this like nice note of him just kind of sitting there looking at the lake in his late, probably 70s, 80s, whatever, 90s even. I don't remember. If he goes back in the 40s and he was probably like early 30s, late 40s. Yeah, no, there's no way. Well, I guess a super soldier could
like
be
over
much,
yeah. No, he'll live to be like, it's established in comics he has like an extended life.
Yeah.
Not like,
so he's well over 100 in that scene.
Like into his hundreds, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And he's just kind of sitting there. Falcon goes up to him and is just like, yo, what happened? He's like, I lived my life. I took Tony's advice and it was beautiful. And he's like, you want to tell me about it? He's like, nah. But that does remind me. And then he gives him like the Captain America shield. And he's just like, you're the captain now, bitch. And that's what it ends on. It'd be so much better if it was like, you're Captain America now, bitch, scene. Cut to black credits.
He picks it up and he's like, this is mine.
Yeah, exactly. He picks it up, just like puts his head down and whispers solemnly to him, Hail Hydra. Cut to black credits. Yeah, gross. What a fucking gross ending that would be. Yeah, but that actually is where it ends. He gives him the shield and it just like, that's it. Credits. So no,
that's the end.
That's the end.
Captain America gets the happy ending he could never get in comics because comic books never end.
Yeah.
But actors age, so we get to have endings.
Yep.
In movies.
Yep.
Because it's inevitable.
And that's kind of nice too. I kind of like endings. So.
Yeah, no, honestly, one of my favorite things in comics are when they do let the story just keep going and you get like legacy characters. So I'm actually excited for what the MCU gets to do with newer characters. Just like keep it going. I like the pushing forward thing.
Sure.
So like that, I'm excited for Black Panther and Spider-Man and Guardians movies. Those are all prospects I'm in for.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up with some thoughts here. First of all, Stan Lee does have a cameo in this. I think this is his last one too, right?
I mean, I'm pretty sure. But I also thought other ones were his last ones, so maybe he has one in
Spider-Man.
It's like conceivable to me he has one in Homecoming, but after that, no.
Yeah.
It's the last one I think that's possible.
Yeah, okay. I think so too. So, this one was less bittersweet and sad than the one in Captain Marvel, where he literally says like something a little profound, specifically because he's dead. In this, he's just kind of like, peace and love, man. He's just like a hippie driving by. So it was fun, Stan. It wasn't like weird, profound, like tear-inducing Stan. So that was good.
Yeah.
It was weird to me. There wasn't a thing. I didn't stay until after the credits, but there wasn't a thing saying like thanks, Stan, or something. Like the beginning of the first credits, but whatever. I'm sure they don't want to harp on it. People die. Like that's a thing. They already did once, so
Yeah.
Okay. The big thing I want to talk about with this movie is that the reason why I think a lot of this movie works at all is simply, this is obvious, but I need to say it. It's simply because of the build-up. If you did this movie without 10 years worth of movies building up to this point and stuff like that, and you like falling in love with these characters or disliking other characters or whatever, even like in Infinity War, this movie doesn't work at all. Like at all. It doesn't matter. Nothing in this movie would matter to the point where like it would even be watchable maybe. But I really, really like going back. Like the past scenes I think earned what they do in a way that movies don't usually. When movies deal with time travel, they don't have 10 years of shit to go back to, right? Like it's really, really nice that this is all stuff we saw. So like they don't have to explain why they're going back to this time and whatnot. Like this is all stuff that we could revisit back from like 2011, 2009 and Iron Man 1. Like we could revisit little like hints and stuff like that. And I really, really enjoy that about something like this. I think this would probably be akin to, there was that movie that I didn't bother seeing that was filmed over 13 years or whatever. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
A Boyhood.
Boyhood, yeah. Like, I think that would probably earn something like that too. Like, there's something really nice about having all of this, like, backlog, basically, that you can use and kind of, like, make the time travel stuff feel a little more important or a little bigger than it would otherwise. And I think that's what I liked about this movie in general. That being said, I do wish they had done maybe a little bit more with the going back in time thing. Like, I think this would have been perfect as a series, like, thing. I don't know how they would have done it, but I would have really liked, like, each episode is, like, an hour of, like, them going back to a past and doing a thing and just, like, really digging into some of that stuff, because I think that's really interesting. But, like, they can't. It's a 3-hour thing. Like, they had to kind of push it along a little bit. And I think it's fine, but at the end of the day, the big thing I came for was the giant spectacle fight, and I got that. So I'm more than happy with it, honestly, is like my final thought on it, is that I wanted one thing. It did that one thing. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, yeah, this movie, I almost think you just can't evaluate it as a movie. Like, it's just not it's an event more than it is a movie.
Totally.
But that's like the whole strength of the Marvel universe, like comics like this to me, is you can tell these giant stories that just wouldn't work if you didn't have all this history and structure to it. Like all that stuff allows for giant stuff like this where you can just cheat so much and have the stakes be so high.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. So
yeah,
it's just them getting to that peak of spectacle that the comics do.
Yeah,
really. Like this is the mountain that they've been building up the whole time. This is the peak.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, and like I said, I was talking with my girlfriend on the way home about like this as well. I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel like the end of an era. Like, it feels like I'm leaving like past a thing that like I've been following for a while. Like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Obviously, like, people that would be listening to this, and like probably you as well, probably I don't need to explain necessarily what I mean, but it's like I have known people that I have met, stopped talking to. People in my family have died. People in my family have been born. Like, in this time that this whole giant thing took to come out. And we're like at the moment now where the big thing is over, the big arc. And it's kind of like almost a weird empty feeling, but it's also kind of satisfying. It's like I survived long enough to see all of the movies for 10, I guess 11, because I think Iron Man was 2008, right? Maybe it was 2009, actually. Let's say 10, because 10's a nicer number. 10 years I've survived, and I've been able to, like, keep up with these movies. So, and now it's just like, what do they have coming out? I'm going to quickly look up, because if I look up MCU, I think they have something planned already for the next wave, right? For phase 4. Shang-Chi. Like, I don't even know what Shang-Chi is. The master of Kung Fu. So.
I think he's the guy who trained Iron Fist.
Yeah.
In the comics.
I mean, okay. So, basically what I'm getting at is that if they don't have more than this currently, it's going to be an uphill battle to get me back in. That being said, give me Guardians 3. I think I'm in. So, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, they had that whole thing with them firing James Gunn, but then eventually they've rehired him.
Yeah.
So he is going to direct Guardians 3, but I think that, like, delayed its production, so it's going to be, like, 2021 or whatever before that's out.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I mean, part of the thing I think was that they'd been holding back on announcing what they were going to be doing until this was done.
Yeah, and that makes sense. So I still do think they have an uphill battle at this point, because they don't have, like, a giant thing they're shooting for anymore. I'm sure they could just, like, find another one. I mean, okay, are we going to get Adam Warlock? Is that a thing that'll ever happen? Because it seems like if it was, it should have happened by now, and he should have been in this movie, right? Probably.
Technically, I actually forgot about this when we talked about Infinity War, but they've already teased him in Guardians 2 in an end credits thing.
Oh.
Because they're like in Guardians 2, they actually, like, they're being hunted at some point. The people, Rocket steals batteries from those gold people. Those gold people are the ones who build Adam Warlock to be the perfect man. And there's, like, they show his, like, cocoon thing on the after credits thing of that movie. So I think he is gonna be in 3. I think, like, 3 is gonna introduce Adam Warlock as a thing, potentially.
What the fuck do they do with him? I mean,
I have no idea.
Obviously, like, I don't want you to answer because, like, you're not a producer on the series. So.
Yeah, no. I mean,
because he should have been there.
They
for
have
this.
to do something that makes him more interesting than his comic book character, is what they have to do.
Like, my whole thing is that if they were gonna do that, he should have been here. Mm-hmm. This is where he fits into this whole thing. So, I don't know, man.
I mean, that's, like, where most people know him from, is from the Infinity War story, but I don't know. He was a part of, like, the comics that came later, where, like, this version of the Guardians were developed. So that if they do, like, Annihilation or a story like that, he'd still have a role to play. They could do, because there's like a story where Ultron, like, uses Adam Warlock as his new body or stuff.
All right.
They could do Ultron again in space. That was a good story.
They should not do Ultron again. Or maybe they should and do it right. That would be nice. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Avengers 2 was bad, but
yeah,
you could do Ultron better than that.
Okay, so Captain America's done. Like, he's made that abundantly clear for, like, a full year now, basically. We knew that Robert Downey Jr. is done, so he's out.
Yeah.
We know that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier have a mini-series coming out, so that should be something I probably don't care about unless people, like, give it rave reviews or something, because that's two characters I don't care about at all. WandaVision, I'm kind of in, because, again, I have a creepy obsession with Elizabeth Olsen, so I'll probably watch it just for her and see, like, what wacky hijinks Vision gets into, or, like, what they even do with him, if anything. I don't know. That's going to be weird. Loki has a series coming out, so, like, That might be interesting. I don't have any idea what that's all about. So that'll be weird. And apparently Hawkeye has something too. And again, I'm just kind of like, don't care about that at all. Loki, though.
Yeah, I don't care about movie Hawkeye.
I'm kind of into Loki. I want to see what that is, for sure.
Yeah, that could be good.
I think they've either said or it's rumored that there's going to be Black Panther 2, which makes sense. A sequel of some sort.
That's definitely happening. Yeah, again, like I'm in for Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Guardians. Like I am excited.
Yeah.
For new movies and all those franchises.
How do you feel about Doctor
Strange? But
Strange 2?
I'm gonna see any of these. I fucking hate Doctor Strange 1, so
maybe not then.
I don't know. I'll see it. I see all these movies.
Yeah.
It's not even a thing. It's just if I'll like it or not. But they'd need Doctor Strange 2 would have to do something more interesting. Part of the problem with the first one is that it was just the plot of Iron Man again, except he was unlikable, like completely unlikable. He's way more of a dick than Tony Stark was, even.
Yeah.
He wasn't redeemable in that. But I've liked the Doctor Strange stuff they've done since that movie. It's just that movie itself I didn't like. So I don't know.
Sure.
I think that character just works better for me as a supporting character.
As a side character. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. Oh, I was going to ask you, actually. Let's talk about the Avengers movies just as their own separate thing. Let's rank them right now. Where do you put what? What gets bottom slot? I think we're both in agreement Age of Ultron, right?
2. Yeah.
Okay.
Age of Ultron's bad.
Okay, so we're in agreement here. I think this is where we're going to start deviating. We're probably going to have different lists completely, but that's fine.
Okay.
So...
And also, what are you counting as an Avengers movie?
Literally the ones that have Avengers and then something. No, because Captain America, the first Avenger, doesn't count. So
yeah.
Let's say that the first word has to be Avengers.
Okay. So you're not counting Civil War?
I'm not counting Civil War. No.
Okay. Then honestly, my ranking's pretty easy for me. Then.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into like let's rank every movie because that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I mean, at some point maybe we should do like an article or something doing that anyway, because that might be fun.
It's just Civil War is like the one because that one is.
Civil War is
actually matters to the plot.
Okay,
it's the one that like it matters to this arc. I feel like
out
of like any of these movies.
You know what? Yeah,
any of these Avengers movies.
But it's not an Avengers movie is the thing. I'm going for like the ensemble, like giant cast, stupid big thing going on.
My thing is, Infinity War kind of isn't an Avengers movie even.
Yeah,
it's a Thanos movie.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Like he's the main character of that movie.
Let's count Civil War, because I remember when we were talking about that when it came out, we were both like, why isn't this the Avengers Civil War? So it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's count that. Fine. Okay. So we both are in agreement though. Age of Ultron, bottom tier. Easily the worst.
Yep.
Okay. What's the next tier up?
I think the first one.
Really? I'm gonna blow your mind right now. It's probably Civil War for me.
The Civil War is, I think that movie's very up and down, but that movie has Spider-Man in it, and the first Avengers movie doesn't have Spider-Man in it, so
here's the
it's
thing.
Pretty easy.
The only part about
also,
Civil War I care about
Civil
is the
War
fight they have at the airport. That's all I care about in that movie.
No, I really like when Cap and Tony are just punching the shit out of Tony.
Oh, at the end.
Bucky. Like, that fight at the end just feels more viscerally satisfying than most of the fights in these movies up until that point.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I
think
don't
that
agree.
Part's also good.
Civil War is next for bottom for me. Okay. So for the Avengers.
The first Avengers movie is not held up for me when I tried to watch it.
Okay, see, the Avengers for me might be my top. The first one. I don't know though.
Okay.
I'm okay. What's the next one for you? So third from the bottom, I guess.
Probably Civil War at that point.
Okay. So it's still not like very high for you then necessarily, but it's high.
I mean, there aren't that many of these.
Yeah, that's true. For me, it's Endgame. This one, probably. It's weird. I almost want to say Infinity War and Endgame are the same giant movie, but like I know that's not true.
They're very different.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought this movie was fine, but I remember really liking Infinity War. So I'm going to say that this is probably my next from the bottom for me.
Okay.
Then
my next from the bottom would be Infinity War.
Okay.
I would rank this as my favorite, but that's just because I like this giant dumb bullshit. Like, it's not that I would argue this is a better movie.
Right.
But
yeah.
as a thing that exists in the world, this one makes me happier.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Infinity War is
but that's
next
also
for me.
probably some recency bias.
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean, anytime you talk about literally anything, it changes within the first hour, week, month, year.
Yeah.
Like, that just happens.
And that's my thing with these movies. I really don't ever feel the need to rewatch any of them.
Okay.
These aren't movies I'm like going back to all the time. As much as I like them.
Sure.
They are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm in and out on them.
The next for me is Infinity War. My top is the first Avengers. I just remember that moment of seeing the characters that I've seen these other like I think it was like 3 or 4 years worth of the other movies like Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, and like the characters in those, and then seeing them all together the first time on screen with like this giant weird otherworldly threat and stuff. I just really like it. I've seen it like probably 5 times and I've never got bored of it. I still really enjoy that movie.
I got bored of it the first time I tried to watch it at home, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. No, it didn't hold up for me at watching it after the first time. All its flaws stood out to me way more. The magic was lost.
I don't at all agree.
Again, I didn't love how the action looked in those earlier Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Other than, like, Iron Man is the one that super holds up for me. That's probably still my favorite out of any of these movies. But
Iron Man 1?
Yeah.
Out of all of them? Oh, okay. Huh.
Other than, like, the new Spider-Man movies, yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say, Homecoming's real good. I really like Homecoming, but that's also the Spider-Man bias for me, specifically.
Yeah. And none of these movies hold a candle to Spider-Verse.
Oh, the Spider-Verse is, like, in a whole different plane of existence of tears.
Yes.
Like when I'm talking about the best movies in this, I'm talking about in the MCU universe. Spider-Verse is one of the best movies that exist for me. So it's a different universe completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Any closing thoughts?
You know, when I got into Avengers comics when the Avengers were not popular, like I got into them when Marvel was outsourcing them to people from Image, Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee, and I got into it because it was like a jumping on point. I did not expect that years later the Avengers would be like the most popular thing in the world, and I'd be watching the most anticipated movie, and it would be a giant Avengers event thing. But
here we are.
You know, I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Can I fuck with you a moment?
Good for me.
You know how I got into Avengers? Marvel Zombies. I got super into the Marvel Zombies garbage, and that's what kickstarted me into the Avengers.
Oh, Zombie Spider-Man was so sad that he ate Aunt May and Mary Jane. He was so sad about it.
Marvel Zombies is both hilarious and fucking terrifying. Holy shit, there's some dark garbage in that fucking series. But yeah. That's where I like really started looking into the characters more. I still don't like necessarily enjoy a lot of the Avengers like comics and series stuff. So what I did after that is kind of like look up some like stuff that I should check out from each of the main Marvel characters and just kind of like basically did synopsis diving into a lot of the stuff, and then like the ones that people are like, you need to read this one, I would like look up and read those, but I didn't like bother going through like 30 years worth of comics because that's ridiculous. So, you know. But yeah, no.
Yeah, old Avengers stuff I never loved.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the old Avengers comics where Spider-Man showed up briefly in that book, but
oh yeah.
That was just as a weird thing. It was more of a throwaway fact at that time before he just became they decided, what if we just put Wolverine and Spider-Man on all the Avengers teams because those characters are really popular?
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
And then that helped.
Yeah.
It really helped Avengers comics sales. So.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, I think that's where we should probably end this. Obviously, like, if we were to go into just more comic talk, this would take forever. So we should probably just keep this to Avengers specific stuff. I don't know, man. It's the end of an era for me. Like, maybe I'm being super over dramatic about it, but it just, like, even though there were parts of this movie I didn't necessarily care for, I still like loved every single minute of being in that theater and just like experiencing this thing. And I probably will go again at some point because I'm sure there'll be somebody I know in my life that hasn't seen it, and I'll just be like, yeah, I'll go with you. I guess for me, I hope that they are able to do as well on the next giant arc and adventure that they want to plan out that they did with this, and I hope I again survive long enough to see all of it, I suppose. So here's to hoping.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm just looking forward to seeing fucking Mysterio in a movie right now.
One step at a time.
As far as going.
Yep.
One step at a time.
Yep. That's how life is now. One day at a time. In a post-Avengers world. Anyways, okay, I'm going to end my recording now. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And yeah, if you haven't, for whatever reason, seen this movie, I mean, you should probably just go see the spectacle, because why not? Or wait for Netflix. I don't really care. I'm not your dad. So yeah, thanks for listening.
I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know that I would wait for Netflix. Disney Plus.
Nope,
Disney
wait
Plus.
for Netflix. Ignore Disney Plus. Wait till it's on Netflix. 2035. All right. Goodbye.
Peace.